We've been very heavy on the documentary The Last Dance, which I'm pleased to talk about with our next guest, should he so choose. We're also going to be talking about his new show, DCs Stargirl, which is premiering tomorrow at 8 p.m. on the CW. Enjoyed his work in the Bottle Rocket, the Royal Tenenbaums, and Old School. He's Luke Wilson. How are you, Luke?
Hey, Rich. How's it going, man?
I'm hanging in.
Good to talk to you.
Good to chat with you. Have you been watching this documentary? It's all good if you haven't. There's lots going on in the world.
This is the Jordan documentary?
That's the one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just got a text. I've been taping them, but for some reason I only have 4 through now 9, so I wanted to start at the beginning, but I might just start at 4.
Yeah, you can do that. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on, but it's one of those things where, yeah, you feel it's like a zeitgeist thing. I feel left out because I haven't seen it. It's taken over for Tiger King, which I did not see.
Well, here's what I want to tell you, Luke, and I'll just treat it gingerly. They break up at the end. I hope I don't spoil it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I can't wait to see it. And I was talking to a friend in Dallas yesterday, and it said it has stuff about Jordan's father. And, yeah, I just always, like everybody else, just loved him. And, I can't wait to see it. And just such an interesting dynamic with, Phil Jackson and all those other players, and I can't wait to see it. But pardon me for not being up to date on it.
You know what, Luke? There's life, and not everybody's able to just sit around and watch television the whole day.
No, I can. I've got a bad system. I don't know what happened. Believe me, I've got the time.
I love it. I love it. And it's funny. My old SportsCenter days popped up right at the end there. Have you just been coming across, just watching in quarantine, just chilling out any of your old work at any point? Have you seen anything?
No, but I mean, I have noticed, I've been yeah, they really show Legally Blonde a lot. But yeah, I've seen Old School on there a few times too. It is funny what they're showing on ESPN or the Golf Channel. I had two, my brother Andrew and another friend texted me at the same time, and they said, watching Jack's press conference from '86 after he won the Masters, it's incredible. They were talking about it like it was happened. That's how kind of sports starved they were. But I was bummed out. I didn't know about that Seminole match. I've just been waiting for that one with Tiger and Phil and Peyton and
That's
Tom
next
Brady.
week.
I missed that. That Seminole match yesterday was cool looking.
Yeah, it was. Hey, Luke, if you want alerts, I can give you if you need some, I can give you some alerts here.
I mean, I really don't know how I missed the Seminole one. I'd never heard of it.
They went down yesterday with Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy and Matt Wolff and Ricky Fowler.
I watched the highlights, but it looks cool. And Seminole is such a cool course. Cool just to see those pros out there on I think it's kind of known for being maybe a little shorter course. But
are you a golf guy, Luke? Are you a golf guy?
Yeah, I play a ton of golf. Yeah.
Okay, walk me through your game here. What's your game like?
My game is it gets called a hook a lot. I call it a power draw. No, but I've just been playing for a while. But that's probably what I follow most, along with just the Dallas Cowboys. But I've been missing. When this all started, I think it was that Players Championship was when they just canceled right in the middle of that.
That is correct.
I was like, well, at least, we'll be able to watch the Masters when this is all going on, even if there are no fans there. And that's when it was sports-wise, it was a real bummer when they started to cancel the majors.
Luke Wilson here on the Rich Eisen Show. I know your brother Owen was a Cowboys fan. I didn't know. Is that a family thing, the Cowboys?
Yeah, we just grew up in Dallas, and so grew up following them. We were from that kind of Tom Landry, Roger Staubach years when we were kids. So, yeah, still Cowboys fans, and just kind of hope they can get it going again. It's been quite a drought since the Aikman days.
That's right, Aikman, and I work with Michael Irvin all the time. He's quite the character, Luke.
I've gotten to run into Irvin here and there out in L.A., and I go over on the Fox lot. He was my favorite player, so it's so cool to get the chance to meet him and talk with him.
So, who is the who's the guy that you've met either through work or whatever, where sports wise, where it was like that's the coolest. That right there is pretty cool.
Well, for starters, those guys have always been. They always seem pretty nice. I mean, got to talk to Peyton Manning a little once up at the Pebble Pro-Am, and he was such a good guy, and had been around Tiger a couple of times. So pretty incredible to see, somebody like Tiger up close. I mean, I guess it's kind of a Jordan-esque figure where, I mean, you feel almost badly because, you're standing there looking at him like you'd look at a statue, where you're just kind of thinking like, gosh, could one person have accomplished everything this guy's done? And just to see how they carry themselves, socially is interesting because they're so focused. But, yeah, all those guys have been pretty nice when I met them. All the golfers. Dustin Johnson is a great guy. Pat Perez is a total character.
He is. That is right.
Yeah, I've probably been around those golfers more than anybody else.
Luke Wilson here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before we talk about your current project, who's the person, actor or actress, who you've been in a lot of funny movies, who cracks you up? Who's the one that is the funniest that you've been around?
I think probably it really does have to be Will Ferrell. I mean, have done a few things with him, over the years and just been friends with him. But, it's like when I've always said about those, like the SNL people, from like Sandler to Tracy Morgan and Kristen Wiig. I mean, it's like, when somebody says, yeah, this friend of mine's really funny, there are those people, and then there are those people like the SNL people like Will and Sandler, where I've always said, like, they seem like pro athletes in terms of how sharp and quick they are and just, doing voices and making fun of you and making fun of somebody else. But, yeah, Will was probably the person where I would have to kind of focus during scenes to not start laughing. And he's one of those guys where you kind of look into his eyes during a scene, and it's like looking into the eyes of a crazy person. And, I feel like with me sometimes he'd see, like, okay, I've got this guy on the ropes. He's going to start laughing. And then he'd really put the pedal down. And I started doing this thing, and I just told him I did it with him, where I would start, it's like, they'd do his angle, then they'd do my angle, and he'd be off camera. And I would just look at, like, his hairline or down at his chin. I would just stop looking at his eyes because I would feel like he would just make me start to laugh. But, yeah, and Sandler and Tracy Morgan, too, are just incredible. I mean, Tracy Morgan's one of those guys where, he'll be just doing kind of bits all day on set, and then you hear him on Howard Stern, and he's doing the exact same thing, and you're like, this guy's just constantly, like, working on material.
He's workshopping it. He's workshopping
it, but just making it seem like he's having a conversation with you.
And then maybe on the flip side, what was it like being on the set with Gene Hackman? You're in the Royal Tenenbaums. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, he's along with maybe Nick Nolte, probably the greatest actor I've ever gotten to work with. And, yeah, that thing, I'm sure you've had it happen, where when you get the chance to work with those people you've grown up watching, or just, I can remember what a huge fan of Gene Hackman my dad was. But, yeah, Gene was really cool guy, and I especially feel lucky now since he's one of those guys, like Nicholson, where they just – I think they just kind of quietly, without any fanfare, just kind of stop working. So you never know when it's going to happen with those guys. But Gene was really cool guy, really intense, never left set, would just sit there all day and was fun to talk to about, he would talk to you about his past and getting started and, different people he'd worked with. And, just a really cool guy. I mean, I was just watching some of the French Connection just over the weekend when I was channel surfing, and just his portrayal of Popeye Doyle is just incredible.
Well, I mean, the whole pick your feet in Poughkeepsie, but to me, Hoosiers is my favorite sports movie of all time. That's number one for me, and him as Coach Dale in that movie is the greatest.
Yeah,
Luke.
It's incredible. And I did a sports movie in the fall in Texas called 12 Mighty Orphans, and that was one of the first things. I mean, I feel completely familiar with Hoosiers, but I was like, well, I'll just watch it again just to see if there's anything I missed. But yeah, it's so good, and he plays such a cool character. And then that whole backstory about having that kind of Woody Hayes type incident with the player, and then the Dennis Hopper character, how he kind of helps him out. It's all really cool.
Luke Wilson here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, before I let you go, tell me about your latest project. DC's Stargirl premieres tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on the CW. I'll give you the floor, my man.
Yeah, this is it's from that. I'd never really. I mean, I feel like talking about the movies, I'd done kind of every genre. I had done kind of like westerns and romantic comedies and dramas, but had never worked on one of these superhero projects. So yeah, I play this character, Pat Dugan, who was the sidekick to a superhero named Starman. And I mean, I'd always say like he reminded me of like the equipment managers in high school. Like I always liked those guys just because they might not be right for the team, but they wanted to be a part of the team. And still, like going to NBA games, I'll always like check out the equipment managers because I'll think if these guys win the championship, like that guy gets a ring too. Like how cool is that? So yeah, I kind of play the equipment manager to these superheroes, and then there's a big battle. They all die, and it's 20 years later, and I'm just a mechanic and moved my family from L.A. to Nebraska to kind of pick up the trail of these villains. And then my stepdaughter discovers kind of all this old superhero gear, and somehow it works for her, and that's kind of the premise for the show. But yeah, even though it's called Stargirl, it's got some incredible action, and I think it'll appeal to a lot of your listeners and viewers. And you, Rich.
I look forward to it, Luke. Now that The Last Dance is over, I got my dance cards a little bit more open. You know what I mean? So I'll be checking it out.
So that did end. It was 10 episodes.
It's over, and again, spoiler alert, they break up at the end, but I still think it's worth a journey for you, Luke. I really do.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. As soon as I get those first 3 episodes, I'll get on it. Thanks a ton for having me on, man, and thanks for being on the air.
I appreciate you saying that, Luke. Let's do it again. You be well.
Buddy.
You and your family be well. That's Luke Wilson, DC's Stargirl, again, 8 Eastern on the CW. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.